I'm Actor with Twit, and today I've been given another Ultrabook. Now, if you watch this show before you buy, you know that I've had some harsh words for certain Ultrabooks, and this is the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon. I asked to review this because I've heard fantastic thing about it. If you take a look at it, it's got that no-nonsense Lenovo ThinkPad styling. We're talking about black. Basic black's got this rubberized kind of grip to it, and why this is called the X1 Carbon is because it's made of carbon fibers. When you try to get some flex or bend in this thing, it doesn't happen. Plus, it's super light. It's like 3 pounds. See, you can twirl it around. It's got a pretty good design here. We've got a great hinge. I love hinges that let you do this. I know that seems strange, but I always find myself in weird positions with laptops on couches. And when I want to look at the angle, I want to be able to do something like that. So if you want to hold it up like a crazy tablet, you could. Right, but it doesn't work that way. Also, the screen, 1600 by 900 display. This is an anti-glare, matte finish, so you're not constantly trying to find what angle you got to go to avoid the reflection. So that's really nice. Like I said, this is a ThinkPad, and it has a killer keyboard, super comfortable. Even though this is really thin, the travel on the keys is really good. The trackpad operated fantastically. Multi-touch worked fine. Pinch and zoom worked fine. Scrolling worked great. This is a trackpad Lenovo you should put in all your notebooks because the other ones kind of stink on the IdeaPad. ThinkPad's got a really great trackpad there. Also, it's a big click surface for you there. And for you old school ThinkPad users like me, there is still the track point, so if you want to use that instead of the trackpad, you can. I still really like that. One of the most questionable things on this laptop, and most people I showed this to were confused, is something called Simple Tap. It's an interface that Lenovo put on. There's a dedicated button for it. So you click this button, and then you see this strange tiled interface. Now, you can see there's a solution center up. There are several different tiles that you can install through the Lenovo app shop. Wasn't aware that they had one of these things. And one of the weird things is, if you take a look at the interface, you might start wondering, how do I get out of it? Oh, what if I just click the button again? Doesn't do anything. What if I try to go back? You can do that. You can keep clicking this little arrow until you go back to the desktop, or you can click somewhere randomly. It'll take you back to the desktop. That is not intuitive, and I don't think it has any place on a notebook this good. This is a premium notebook, and that, Lenovo, is crapware. That has no business, has no place on something this elegant. Also, the keyboard, like I said, fantastic. Also backlit. Like I said, this is a premium notebook. This thing starts at $13.49 or $13.29, depending on the day. Lenovo partnered up with Dolby for the speakers on this. They're saying it's not tinny. You're gonna get some really great sound. We can turn up the audio right now.
Projector.
There's some Twit audio.
LED light source.
And what I found was the audio was sufficiently loud. You don't have any buzzing or weird sounds with this, but you're not gonna get any booming bass sounds out of this. This is a tiny notebook. You're not going to get incredible audio, but it's very, very serviceable. As this is an Ultrabook, the specs are pretty much the same as what you'll expect everywhere else. You'll get a Core i5. You can bump that up to an i7 if you want. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM, upgradable to 8. You can throw in an SSD. This one has a 256 gigabyte SSD. So internals effectively not differentiated from any other Ultrabook. Again, when you're buying the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, you're buying the super light and the carbon fiber, and also the biometric sensor if you want to use a fingerprint as a password. On the Pro side, the Lenovo X1 Carbon has some really beautiful styling. It doesn't look like every other thing out there. Plus, it's super sturdy. The keyboard is fantastic. The trackpad is very good. I know that some people will complain it's not as good as some of the Apple trackpads. It's a very good trackpad on the X1. On the con side, that Simple Tap interface should not be built into the X1. On top of that, the resolution of the screen could be higher. 1600 by 900 is good, but we could have gone up to a 1080p display, especially for a premium notebook. On the battery front, Lenovo says you can get 8 hours of battery. Most of the tests out there show around 5. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is the X1 a try, buy, or don't buy? I gotta say, this is a definite buy. It's a fantastic notebook, incredibly sturdy, incredibly light. As long as you have access to an outlet sometimes after 5 or 6 hours, you're gonna really enjoy this notebook. It is a standout in the Ultrabook category. I'm Actor with Twit, and this is the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon.
With Actor, and I'm actually been dying for this review because I'm in the market for a Windows 8 notebook. What are you laughing at?
You're in the right market.
And
but
this is the one I thought I was going to get, to be honest with you. This is the latest from Lenovo. I love the X1 Carbon Windows 7 version. This is the new one, the Carbon Touch for Windows 8. Tell us a little bit about it.
Now, I got to review the X1 Carbon, the one that didn't have a touchscreen. This is the one that has Windows 8 touchscreen, and Windows 8's all about touch, so you can bring up charms and all kinds of things. You can see all the tiles. It's Windows 8, and if you're seeing right now, it's got a matte screen, so it doesn't have a ton of reflection on it, which is pretty good, but it also hurts the viewing angles a bit. This is as bright as the screen gets, so it's got a great design. I mean, it's still as sturdy as it was before.
Yeah.
Great keyboard. The trackpad's very responsive for the gestures for Windows 8. Let's see what it's got inside. It's got a Core i5 processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM. It's incredibly fast.
How big is the hard drive?
How big is the hard drive? I don't remember. I got to go through my computer.
128 or?
Yeah, it says 150 gigabytes are free on this. Well, 150 gigabytes available.
So it was a 250.
Yeah,
probably.
It's a partition because it's Lenovo. They always have the recovery
thing on
Yeah,
there.
so I'm in the desktop right now, but it's probably not showing up right on the screen. But the only thing I can see with all this white space is the screen door effect, because this display is 1600 by 900 on a 14-inch display.
That's a very low resolution.
It's kind of a depressing thing. And again, like I was saying, this has got a matte finish to it, which is really cool because you don't have a lot of reflection. But one of the things it looks like Lenovo did is they put the touch sensor like on top of the screen. If you're really close to this laptop, again, this won't show up on camera, you can actually see the layers. And there's a slight delay when you're touching things. It's just the most minuscule.
Well, that's annoying.
Compared to the Surface. I mean, this is the Surface over here, which is...
Surface is very snappy.
It's snappy. It's shiny. And the other thing
Surface Pro?
This is a Surface RT.
RT, yeah.
But you can see that the difference between it is it's just crazy bright compared to this. And the angles on the X1 just don't cut it compared to the Surface right now. But yeah, so everyone was disappointed who got to see the screen on the X1.
Well, I thought this was going to be the Windows 8 laptop I was going to get. And you said, well, let me wait. And we took a look at it, and I have to admit I was a little disappointed. Well, let's get the pros and cons.
Okay.
This is on the X1 Carbon Touch from Lenovo.
On the pros, solid build. It's incredibly fast. It does a great job as an actual laptop. Right. It's got a great design. Like I said, sturdy, great keyboard, responsive touchscreen, responsive touchpad. It's even got the track point if you're a Lenovo fan and you like using that. Some built-in software. If you miss the start button, there's Lenovo's fake start button for you if you missed that. That's the pros on it. On the cons, it's expensive. It starts off at $1,500
for an i5 and
yes,
4 gigs of RAM.
That's right. The base model is $1,500.
Holy moly.
There's also a weird thing with the bezel here, like on the right side. Since you're always going to be doing the charms bar,
right?
This bezel isn't really enough for your finger, so you're touching this plastic.
It's very small.
And the actual metals. I'm not metal, the glass. So you feel that seam every single time. It's kind of a lousy touch.
That's a move you do a lot in Windows 8.
That's where your start screen lives, and this screen just doesn't cut it. This is a premium laptop, $1,500.
Should have a better screen.
Should have a much better screen, and it shouldn't look this bad off angle.
Just in comparison, this is the laptop from Acer that Father Robert Balacer reviewed, the S7. He's the one, he told me get this one, and it's roughly the same price, maybe a little bit more expensive, but thinner, lighter, much better screen on this S7. And this is an i7 processor.
i7 on that. That's pretty. I mean, you can get an i7 on the X1.
But you're going to pay even more.
You got to pay more, and the weird thing is you can't even upgrade the screen. So if you wanted a 1920 by 1080 or something similar,
this has a 1920 by 1080
not
IPS
an option.
Screen.
I got to say,
this looks gorgeous.
With the competition out there, as that
compare
S7,
the two, which one would you buy?
I'd pick the Acer.
And can yours do this?
Oh yeah, we can do that.
Oh, all right.
We can do that just fine. But this is definitely definitely a don't buy for the price. Unfortunately,
that's disappointing.
X1 is awesome. X1 Touch, not so much.
Well, after we talked before the show today, but after we talked, I thought a little bit about it, and I said, all right, well, you've put me over the top. I was waiting to see the Carbon X1 Touch, and I decided to get the Acer S7 instead. And I have to say, I've only had it for the day, but so far I'm really happy. And these are at the higher end. For Ultrabooks, when you're talking $1,500, I mean, most Ultrabooks are a lot less, $1,000 or even less.
Even some of the lower end ones, I saw had better screens. You didn't have that weird bezel issue.
When you're paying that much, you should have a great screen. You really should.